What's going on, guys? This is Sam, and today I want to talk about the latest 2018 iPhone leaks and rumors. That's a phrase that I've said a lot over the past week because each and every single day we're learning just a little bit more. We have leaked images and videos of dummy units now and some other info about some really cool features that are coming to the 2018 iPhone. So let's go ahead and jump in. Recently, you've probably seen some images of the 2018 iPhones floating around, specifically the 6.1-inch LCD iPhone 9 model, and then a little bit larger 6.5-inch OLED iPhone 10 Plus or iPhone 11 Plus model as well. And you can really see the size comparison here of how not that much bigger the 6.5-inch OLED model, the Plus version, is going to be than the 6 to 6.1-inch LCD model. They actually look relatively close in size, and while the Plus model is definitely bigger, you can see that the LCD iPhone and the 6.1-inch screen is going to be pretty big as well. You'll probably notice though that we are missing one iPhone here. I've reported time and time again as other sources continue to report that there are going to be 3 new models this year. A second generation version of the iPhone 10, a 6.1-inch LCD, cheaper $700-ish iPhone, what I'm calling the iPhone 9, and then an iPhone 10 Plus, what I'm calling the iPhone 11 Plus. But this phone, the second generation iPhone 10, is not really pictured in any of these images. Prior to seeing these dummy units, we hadn't really gotten a great idea of how these would look in your hand. Like, we saw some great renderings, there were some great concepts created online based off of like leaked factory CAD units, but now we actually see these devices in someone's hand. We see them side by side. One is in black, one is in silver. I was really wishing that we could see the LCD iPhone in the new colors like red, blue, orange, yellow, like we'd been hearing, but nobody's made that happen just yet. There's still a lot of good detail here though. Like, you can see, just like the renderings a few months ago back predicted or illustrated, the little camera flash and microphone on the LCD model is not going to be to the right of the camera like it was in the past. It's going to be placed underneath to sort of reflect the increasing verticality of Apple's camera setups on the iPhone. Both the iPhone 10 and the iPhone 10 Plus will have dual camera setups this year, but to cut costs on the LCD model, we can see right here that Apple will be keeping it to just one camera still. Now, from these images, it's hard to tell how thick the bezels on the 6.1-inch LCD iPhone are. In some cases, it was really easy with the renders where you could sort of just blow an image up on the screen. Here, because there is nothing actually lighting up the screen, you're not supposed to be able to distinguish the screen from the bezels because it will be OLED. So we don't know if the bezels are going to get thinner, as a very recent rumor has indicated, or if they're going to actually be thicker than the iPhone 10, what we were hearing up until just a couple of days ago. Unfortunately, you can't really tell from these images. If my gut had to say something, I'd probably say the bezels will be a little bit thicker. I mean, this is going to be a cheaper or lower cost iPhone than the others. I couldn't see Apple making a $700 iPhone have thinner bezels than the higher end models. That just wouldn't make a lot of sense, so I don't think that's going to be the case. But who knows, I guess we'll find out in just a couple of months for sure, or probably in just a couple of days when new leaked images surface. And moving over to the iPhone 10 Plus, it sort of just looks like a bigger version of the iPhone 10, which is what we were expecting to see since pretty much the beginning of a rumor cycle. It's not hard to just picture a bigger version of something that Apple has already released. And I have to say, I think it looks pretty good. I've definitely got more excitement after seeing this in someone's hand now than I did before, but if you look at the camera module, it looks so incredibly tiny on this, even though it's a dual camera setup. Like, there are 2 cameras here. We had heard on and off that the iPhone 10 Plus this year could have a third camera on it, but I think Apple will be holding off on that feature until sometime in 2019. But the camera module is just so tiny on here, and it really shouldn't look that out of place considering the fact that the 6.5-inch OLED iPhone 10 Plus here is actually going to be around the same physical size as the iPhone 8 Plus or the iPhone 7 Plus, pretty much any plus-sized iPhone since Apple started making them. What Apple's doing here is just obviously reducing the bezels all the way around so they can fit more in the same package. I think that's a really good approach. I could not imagine a larger phone than the iPhone 8 Plus in my hand. And the iPhone 10 Plus is just going to be that phone with a better design, better cameras, and just better all the way around. Ben Gaskin also shared some images of the 2018 iPhone prototypes or mock-ups here, and he shared a lot of details on the iPhone 10 back in 2017. So these look pretty accurate to me. Like, I'm sure the final versions of the iPhone are going to look a little bit different than this naturally, just because these aren't made with the premium materials I think that an iPhone will be made with, but it still lets us see what the 2018 iPhones are going to look in a hands-on manner, and I think that's really cool. So it just gets me even more excited to go hands-on with these phones in just a couple of months, or maybe a little bit sooner if everything goes as planned. So that was definitely the biggest iPhone news that we have heard over the past couple of days, but we also got some fresh details on a couple of other things. The first comes courtesy of 9to5Mac, did a really great job digging through iOS 12 Beta 5 that came out yesterday and discovered alongside new images or a new video of the AirPods wireless charging case that should also be launching around the same time as the new iPhones do, they found reference to something very, very interesting, something that we had heard on and off again about the 2018 iPhones, but that we didn't really know would be happening for sure. Support for a second SIM tray software-wise. So the beta of iOS 12 Beta 5 does actually reference a second SIM tray in the iPhone, and we had heard about the 2018 iPhones that at least one model at the bare minimum would be supporting dual SIM functionality. Now, we don't find that very useful here in the United States, probably not super useful in a place like Canada as well, but if you live somewhere abroad in Europe, in Asia, somewhere like that, where there's so many countries so close together, there's not one carrier generally that covers every single place you're going to go to. So it's really annoying if you have an iPhone right now. You have to like physically switch out the SIM card every time you might be traveling because your main carrier doesn't support the place that you're traveling to. Obviously, you still want cell service. So with a second physical SIM tray inside, you can carry one SIM card in one slot and another SIM card for a completely separate company in the other. And it makes traveling and using your phone while traveling just so much easier, so much simpler. Once again, not a feature we really value or care about in the US, but a lot of places outside of the US really, really like this feature, and it's a big draw for a lot of dual SIM Android phones. That being said, here in the United States, I believe we've heard a rumor that says eSIM in addition to a physical SIM would be coming to the iPhones here, and an eSIM is just an electronic SIM. If you buy the Apple Watch Series 3, there's actually an electronic SIM inside of here, which is really cool. It makes switching carriers so easy. Like I recently switched from Verizon to T-Mobile, and rather than having to get like a physical SIM card inside of here, I just activated my plan through settings that was connected to my iPhone, and then all of a sudden I went from Verizon to T-Mobile. Now, if we go back to those leaked dummy unit photos for just a second, it is very interesting to note here that none of these show a second SIM card slot. So what that leads me to believe is either A, it's not happening, which I think is pretty unlikely at this point, given everything we've heard about two SIMs coming to the next iPhones, or B, it means that both of the SIMs are going to be located inside of the same unified tray. So rather than there being like SIM card slot A here and then SIM card slot B here, it's going to be SIM card A and B in the same slot. I think Samsung does this with their Galaxy S9 phones, and it's pretty cool. You just can slip two SIM cards in the exact same tray. So it's really easy, and it doesn't add that extra like baggage of having two entirely separate ports on the same side of the phone. So that would probably be the option that Apple would opt for. I definitely think that dual SIM functionality is coming just because we have heard so much about it, and it doesn't seem like it would be all that hard for Apple to implement. But iOS 12 Beta 5 continues with more information about the 2018 iPhones. If you sort of tweak around with the software, you can make some applications run in landscape if you set it to the rumored resolution of the iPhone 10 Plus, and you get a different view than you would on the 5.8-inch iPhone if you held this in landscape, which shows you right here in the software Apple is planning to support a plus-sized iPhone with the resolution. I've got the resolution written down right here. It is 1242 by 2688. So already Apple is working to optimize apps for the bigger screen, just like you get some expanded landscape functionality on a traditional like iPhone 6 Plus, iPhone 7 Plus, iPhone 8 Plus. Apple is planning to do something very similar with the iPhone 10 Plus or iPhone 11 Plus later this year, which is super cool because you can see some screenshots right here of applications like Messages or Calendar working in landscape. And on the 5.8-inch iPhone, it will be the second generation iPhone 10, and likely how it will also look on the 6.1-inch LCD iPhone, you don't get that much information, but because the screen is so much bigger, 6.5 inches OLED on the plus-sized iPhone, you can see some additional data here. I wish that view would be default on all iPhones in landscape, but it is one way that Apple can continually market the plus-sized iPhone as like a power phone for power users. Generally, every year the plus-sized iPhone has a couple of extra features over the standard version, just as another way to justify its price tag in addition to the bigger screen. So as of right now, that is the latest iPhone news, the latest leaks and rumors that you should definitely know about. I'm getting more and more excited every single week about the 2018 iPhone lineup. I cannot wait to go hands-on with these phones for real in just a couple of months. It is nearly August 1st. The iPhones usually come out beginning to middle of September, so really just a month and a half away now, guys. So very, very exciting. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like, subscribe for more in the future. Shirts like this one are available at updatebrand.com. But for now, I've been Sam. I hope all of you are doing great, and I'll talk to you in my next video.